right, guys, welcome back to another video. So yesterday we got an awesome announcement, one that we knew was coming, but it wasn't official. It was leaked, I think, last week or a couple of days ago. I talked about it in a previous video, and that is that Quake 2 is back with a remastered version of this game. It is available on Xbox Game Pass, but also available on the PlayStation Network and on the Nintendo Switch via the eShop. And you can buy the game for $10, no matter what platform you're on, Xbox, PlayStation, or Nintendo. And it's out right now. Go ahead and check it out. Now, here is the information for this game, everything that is coming along with it. The remaster itself, you take a look here at some of the graphics. They actually did a great job. It looks good and it plays great. So it is just a good quality remaster for an older game that gives you that nostalgia of those older first-person shooters, bringing you back to where they started, essentially. Doom, Quake 2, all of those games. And then you kind of see how much we've grown since these games come out, but these are still amazing first-person shooters. But this is all the stuff that comes with it. First of all, you get the original mission packs, the Reckoning and Ground Zero. You get to play the all-new expansion, Call of the Machine, which is awesome to see that there is a brand new expansion that they are bringing into this game, something that I wouldn't have expected them to bring. But it says here, a brand new Quake 2 experience for Machine Games consisting of 28 campaign levels and one multiplayer deathmatch map. In depths of strong space lies the Machine, a singularity capable of collapsing the fabric of reality, fight across time and space to find the Strong Maker, destroy it, and change the destiny of man and machine. So that's super cool that we get that extra content. Get Quake 2 64 for free. Get to enjoy online and local multiplayer co-op. It's crossplay, so you can play with people on PlayStation. You can play with people on the Nintendo Switch. There is motion aiming, so it's motion aiming ready, and you can experience the original game in hand. So awesome stuff there, and it'd be cool to just get 4 people in a room, get that 4-player split screen co-op going. Kind of experience what it was like back in the day with these first-person shooters, what made it actually really, really great. Now, what else is even cooler? I know I just said 4 players in terms of the local split-screen multiplayer, but the Xbox Series has a big advantage here when it comes to the split screen. It has something that none of the other platforms have, and that is actually 8 players on the screen at the same time, which would just be nuts to see, having 8 different players playing a first-person shooter, but probably a ton of fun in practice if you have 8 people all in one room playing through this game. So super cool. Quake 2 is here, and you can go ahead and download it and play it now. Now let's jump over here. Let's talk a bit here about Forza Motorsport. We now have the launch vehicle list. This game releases in October, and I absolutely can't wait for this one. The Starfield comes out in September, and then we get a month later, probably going to be the best looking game to release this generation. I mean, that's my prediction, graphically, all that type of stuff. Maybe up there with Flight Simulator as well, which looks just insane. But Forza Motorsport, and here are the starting vehicle lists when the game launches. And the stars are here: 2021 Mercedes AMG and the Mercedes AMG 1, the 2022 Rimac Nevera, the 2020 Automobili Pininfarina Battista, the 2020 Koenigsegg Jesko. Forgive me with trying to name some of these cars. I don't know every single car brand out there. I may not be able to name them all. The 2019 Aston Martin Valhalla concept car, the 2019 Bugatti Divo, the 2019 Lamborghini Sian FKP 37, the 2019 Razor Taycan Speed, the 2019 Rimac Concept 2, the 2019 Zenvo TSR-S, and the 2018 Apollo Intensa Emotion. So here we go. I mean, that's the list. And again, forgive the way that I said some of that stuff, but I mean, I know some of these cars, not all of them. I'm not the craziest car fanatic, but Forza Motorsport is one of those sim games that I will be jumping in right away. I like the Sims, Forza games, just going through the career and playing through some races and just really trying to fine tune how the cars feel going around the track and seeing if there really is difference, especially when we've heard about all of the different touch points on the tires that are added to this game that wasn't there in the previous Forza Motorsports. They're touting this as a game that's going to feel completely different and feel way better. And for people who have actually already played it with the early access beta stuff that they had going on there, the tests that they had, there are already people saying that it does feel like a different game from the previous Forza Motorsport, and it does make a difference with all the different points on the tires that make contact with the road. So I'm actually excited for this one. Forza Horizon, when that came out, was a ton of fun. This is going to be a racing game in a different style, more simulation, and it's going to be interesting to see the comparison of Forza Motorsport versus Gran Turismo 7. I have Gran Turismo 7. It's fun. I like it. I was playing it in VR, which is the coolest part about it. But we'll see how Forza Motorsport stacks up against that. Now let's talk about some Halo, because I think Halo Infinite right now is phenomenal. I thought when Halo Infinite released, it was very, very good. Maybe the best gameplay in the Halo franchise. The gameplay is king when it comes to Halo, and it's still there. I don't care what anybody says, no matter how much people want to complain about the content when it first launched and all that type of stuff. The gameplay in Halo Infinite is really good. Incredible stuff that is addicting. It's fun. It's responsive. All of that type of stuff. And the stuff that they added with like the grapple shot was great. But then there was, after a couple of months, the lack of content, which brought down the perception of the game. And if you haven't played Halo Infinite since people were bashing on it, you're probably still sitting there with that old, I would say, false narrative now that it's not a great game, that it didn't bring content, all of that type of stuff. And you couldn't be any more further from the truth. As I've been playing it a lot recently, the game is at an amazing state already right now. Go jump into Halo Infinite. If you haven't in a while, you will have a lot of fun. And it looks like we have a leak for some more content that is coming out, a PvE King of the Hill. And I think this is something that is great to hear, because I think there is some PvE stuff that Halo needs to bring into this game for people that don't always want to be in those multiplayer competitive matches, like a firefight. Bring that back. That would be great. But this here says that there's PvE King of the Hill, capture hills, and defeat boss waves to claim victory over the Banish, which is a new game mode that potentially from this league is going to be coming over to Xbox, to Halo Infinite, to the game, which I really hope they bring out, and it will just add to how great it is right now. Now, Halo Infinite, it is reminding me of that Halo Master Chief Collection kind of revitalization. I hope the player base can jump back in and there are higher numbers in there. We don't actually know what the numbers are on the Xbox side of things. All you can see is that when you do play a game in Halo Infinite, or at least when I play it, I get matches right away. There are essentially no bots in any of the game, so the player numbers have to be there on the Xbox side of things. People like to use the Steam chart numbers, which are like 2,000 or 3,000. Maybe they're higher now, but there's obviously still a decent, strong community around this game, and it's going to continue to grow. We know right now there is a battle royale in the works, or a leaked battle royale style of game mode coming out from Certain Affinity, and that this is a game that they want to last like 10 years or so. Well, it last 10 years may not get all the way up there, but they want this to be a game that is continuously out there, just more content added, and we probably won't be seeing a brand new, fresh Halo release in a while. And I don't think that's a big deal, because the gameplay in Halo Infinite, I think, is the best in the entire series. And they're fine tuning it. Like, they fixed sliding. It's great. Just go check out Halo Infinite. I could go on for a while with how the narrative of this game being bad now is not true anymore. I think that narrative has been debunked, and I think 343 has actually done a great job silently bringing this game back up. That's the other thing. Xbox has to get back to getting people talking about Halo, because I think when people do jump into it, if they haven't in a while, they'll be very impressed. Now let's jump over here. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is a game coming over to Xbox Game Pass, and it is a multiplayer game also coming out on other platforms. We now know what the graphics modes are for console. Series X will have 4K 30 FPS quality mode, 1080p dynamic 60 FPS in performance mode. Series S 4K dynamic 30 FPS, and the PlayStation 5 will have 4K 30 FPS quality mode, 1080p dynamic 60 FPS performance mode, the exact same as the Series X. Xbox One and PlayStation 4 will both be in 1080p 30 frames per second. So there are the most people are going to get that 60 frames per second. But the interesting thing here is that they're going with that 1080p dynamic for the 60 FPS, which you may be asking yourself, why would they be doing that? Why don't they have a 4K 60 FPS mode for these consoles, where that's kind of what we were promised at the beginning of this generation that they would all be able to do? It seems more and more, as more of these performance modes are coming out, that the 4K 60 FPS promise isn't something that is going to be here for very much longer with the Series X and the PlayStation 5. And maybe that is why the PS5 Pro is in the works. And you have to ask yourself if Xbox is going to create a Pro console to be able to offer a steady 4K 60 FPS. But quite honestly, I'm okay with 1080p, 1440p with a solid 60 frames per second performance option in games, because the reality is I play my Xbox on monitors, 1440p monitor, And I don't even get that 4K resolution. I also have a 4K monitor, which, you know, my 1440p monitor at times looks kind of better than my 4K monitor. So to me, it's not that big of a deal, but I can understand why people would want a 4K dynamic 60 FPS mode in pretty much most games that do come out, but it just does not seem like that is the way of the future, and these consoles are not going to be able to continue to push that with newer games that do come out. But we will see how this game runs. And this is a perfect game for Game Pass, as it is multiplayer, so I think a lot of people will jump in and try it out and then have their feedback and everything, what they think about the game, and also how it does run on the Series X and the Series S. Now let's jump over here. We have some multiplayer servers closing down for a ton of EA games. So just in case you're still playing these games, it's always unfortunate when servers close down, but they probably have to run their ROI and see if there's even nearly enough people playing to keep these up. It makes sense with some of these older sports games that obviously people are probably jumping in and playing the newer stuff, but a bunch of games that are shutting down in September. Crysis 3 will be shutting down. In October, Tiger Woods, PGA 14, and Restaurant Dash will be shutting down. November, NHL 19, and December, FIFA 18, 19, 20, 21, Battlefield 1943, Bad Company 1 and 2, Dante's Inferno, Dead Space 2, and Mirror's Edge 2 will all be shutting down. So if you're playing any of these EA games online, might as well try to get your last couple of matches in before they do close down by the end of the year. All right, let's talk about this, because this is a pretty funny, interesting story here about Phil Spencer and making a deal for the game Inside. So this is one that I think is pretty crazy and kind of showed the Xbox mentality back on the Xbox One, where they knew they had to get as much content as possible. And this was back in 2016. It says here from June 29th to August 23rd, 2016. Inside was only available on the Xbox One in the console space. And Playdead co-founder Dino Patti recently told a Danish podcast that a deal had been struck with PlayStation before Phil Spencer and his team eventually stepped in. 2016, this was the beginning of the turnaround of Xbox. When Phil Spencer came in after that, announcing Xbox Game Pass, announcing the Xbox One X, leading up to the Series X and S, and everything that we have today, all the value. And I think Xbox is in an incredible place right now. This was the beginning. You can see what Phil Spencer's mind was like back in 2016. Here's the conversation. And here is what Dino Patti says. He says, I don't know if I got wind of it somehow. I was sitting one night at 8 o'clock in my sweatpants, and then my phone rings displaying an American number. And it's Phil Spencer from Microsoft. It was crazy. He says, listen, we need to make a deal with you. What do you want? And I was like, well, we've actually made an okay deal. And he says, no. You don't understand what I'm saying. I can make anything happen. What do you want? Which, for a game like Inside, which is critically acclaimed and a lot of people love it, was a smart move here on Xbox's part to make it an exclusive for a certain period of time on the platform itself. So this was the mentality. Xbox was kind of grasping at trying to get as much stuff over exclusively on Xbox for a short period of time here. As you can see, that they were willing to give whatever that these developers wanted to make sure that the game was on Xbox, or at least the content was on the platform versus being on only the PlayStation platform. And things have completely changed in a way where they've opened up their ecosystem and allowing people to play wherever they want. But you can bet there are still phone calls like this, I'm sure, that go on, where Phil Spencer calls up these publishers and says, what do you want to get your game onto Game Pass? Games that they know people will sign up for the service for. I'm sure these happen all of the time. Phil Spencer was really willing to spend. And as we know, he came in and he knew content was the key to get the Xbox brand back. He knew it was the games. He knew it was getting people attracted to wanting to sign on to Xbox Live and play a bunch of games with their friends that potentially they couldn't play on the PlayStation platform, or just having a platform where you would sign on and tons of stuff will be available for you to go through, which is what we have right now with Xbox Game Pass. So this was an interesting thing here that Phil Spencer, I would say, kicked off, because we saw a major change up when he came in to where we are right now. And interesting how this conversation went, where the deal was already done with PlayStation, but Phil Spencer said they have the money bags pretty much to get them over to signing a deal with Xbox. Finally, let's talk about this. We know that the PlayStation 5 increased their prices and they cut their prices. And now there's a reaction here in the UK over the price drop, and Sony saying that the reaction to it has been rather weak. So this was in the recent reports here from Sony's financial call, and this was transcribed by Seeking Alpha, where Sony COO Hiroki Totoki has said this: by regions, currently in Japan, the sales are strong, and the same holds true for Asia. In North America, the response to the promotion has been quite favorable. In the United Kingdom, it's a bit weak, but Europe as a whole has been performing quite well. Now, we already know that the PlayStation 5 sales were 3.3 million units, which was an increase year on year from the 2.4 million units in the same time span during the same quarter. And they have to try to reach 25 million units sold this year, which is something that is going to be extremely hard for the PlayStation 5. But they believe with more promotions, which is you can assume are going to be price cuts, and you can assume are going to be hardware coming out, newer hardware, slim models, all that type of stuff. That's how they're going to try to help push for the 25 million units sold. Will they make 25 million units sold? I will actually be pretty surprised, but hey, they could, depending on how much they want to cut the price. But in the UK, as of right now, the price cut isn't helping. And then you got to ask yourself, why isn't it helping? Are people not interested in picking up a PS5 even with the lower price? Are people looking at what Xbox is offering with a game like Starfield coming out in Xbox Game Pass? Are they more interested in that now? So they would rather wait until Xbox Series X is available than a PlayStation 5 is available. Are people looking at the Activision Blizzard acquisition and waiting for that to officially be announced for games coming onto Xbox Game Pass and on the Xbox platform, that they will start moving over to thinking more about buying an Xbox over a PlayStation 5? All of these things could affect sales. We will see as the future quarters go on. We know PS5 has reached 40 million sales, which will trigger them most likely to announce a PS5 Pro or another piece of hardware, which is what they did last generation. So the next couple of years for the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X and S are going to be very interesting to see how both of these companies do react. One of the things is when it comes to new hardware, technically Xbox has already released new hardware to revitalize the system, which was the Series S 1 terabyte black version of the Xbox Series S, which I think is actually a very enticing deal because it is the same price as the white Xbox Series S, but you're getting that extra space to match up with the Xbox Series X. So we'll see what happens here. What I think Xbox is going to do in response to the PlayStation 5, if they do release a PS5 Pro, is probably not right away release a more powerful Xbox, maybe a year later, but I think there will be some sort of slimmer version of the Series X that they will put out. Even though the Series X, I look at it, it's right here on my desk. For the power that it brings and everything, it is still a very sleek, small console compared to the PS5. But I will leave the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.